Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and welcome you all back to my next The 5 list. Present to all of you here on YouTube. I know it's been about 2 weeks since I've done a video. Sorry about that. I am back doing some videos, and we'll start here with another The 5 list featuring a video that the shirt I'm wearing right now does technically relate to, because it's for Injustice 2. And it's going to be my The 5 characters I feel should be DLC in Injustice 2. We've already had 3 packs of DLC. We've had the likes of Enchantress, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Hellboy, Red Hood, Starfire, Black Manta, and characters like that. We've had a lot of DLC characters that were joining the roster, the likes of the Flash, Superman, Batman, and whatnot. These are 5 characters I still feel should be DLC in this game, and it is, as far as I heard confirmed by Ed Boon, at least was mentioned. He did say there was going to be DLC characters in 2018 as well, so the pack with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Enchantress and the Atom is not the last one, so that's the reason why I decided to do this video, so I could talk about characters I feel should still be DLC and join the ranks of those DLC characters, and characters obviously in the roster for Injustice 2. So let's get this started before this intro gets started for, lasting too long. The 5 DLC characters I feel should be in Injustice 2. And we're going to get started with one that I've asked for before. When I did this, my top 10 list like a year ago or so of the characters I want to see in Injustice 2, I had him on the list. I think he might have been an honorable mention. And I do see a lot of people asking for this character. He's probably one of the more heavily requested characters I've seen for this game, not only as DLC, but when the game was coming out on this character. And that goes to Constantine. Constantine being a cool, magician-esque character from DC. He does magic, he does divination, he summons demons, he basically does curses and necromancy and stuff like that. He basically is a walking magician guy, kind of like, DC's version of, I would say, maybe Doctor Strange to some extent, except they do different types of magic. He does more dark magic and summoning monsters and beasts, while, Doctor Strange is his own character. But he is basically a magician-esque character that goes around, taking out demons, taking out monsters and whatnot. That's basically his forte. He's basically fighting the dark, evil monsters of the DC universe. And he's basically a magician that does, necromancy and curses and dark magic, and he can summon monsters and whatnot. I think that would be a pretty cool moveset from him. He's not the basic super powerful Bane, Superman type character. Is brutal, but he's not super magic oriented like a Starfire or a Raven or any character like that. He's in the middle. He kind of can fight by himself a bit, but he does focus a lot on magic. So he's more so like a Starfire Raven type character, and that would make his moveset kind of different and interesting. You have to be more of a range, I think, fighting style to play as him. He probably might be a semi-hard character to master, because he might not have too many full frontal close combat type moves, because he is more of just a magician. Like I said, he can do some, he can defend himself a little bit, but a lot of his fighting abilities come from the fact that he does dark magic and whatnot. And I think it'd be cool to see Constantine in the game. I'm surprised he wasn't in the first one, let alone the second one. I can understand maybe the first one to some extent, although I'm surprised that he wasn't in the first Injustice. But I understood, because I think there was a lot more basic people in the first one. But they've kind of expanded upon it in Injustice 2, and it really surprises me that he did not make the cut for the main game, but he could still be in this DLC, or maybe eventually in Injustice 3 or something. But he is a pretty heavily requested character. I see a lot of people asking for John Constantine. And it's his moveset style would be different enough. He still is he's a ranged fighter, like a lot of the magic-oriented, long-range oriented characters of the DC universe. But he has his own flair to him, his own personality, let alone the fact he's been around for a long freaking time. He's kind of an iconic DC character, but he's not Batman or Superman or Green Lantern or anything, but he's fairly iconic. He's well popular, well requested. They have done him in multiple forms of media. He has 2 movies, I think, and then a TV series, I believe. He's been in the comics for a long time. He's very, very much attached to Swamp Thing. That's one of the DC characters he's very much attached to. And guess what? Swamp Thing is in the game, so he's missing Constantine, and Constantine would be a pretty freaking cool character to see in there because of his iconic status, how popular he is, how requested he is, and his moveset potential, despite being fairly similar to, say, a Starfire or a Raven or any other magic-oriented character. in this universe, or in the game for that matter, he would at least stand out because of the type of magic he does. And I don't really know many other characters, at least in Justice 2, that summons demons and does necromancy. So, Constantine, please be DLC. Come on, Ed Boon, come on. Put him in there. People want him. That's my first choice. My second choice is going to go to a DC character that I still see heavily requested too. I believe I put him on my list as another honorable mention back when I did my top 10 of Injustice 2 character ideas. And that goes to, and like I said, people I've seen requested him too, and that goes to Booster Gold. I know he's more of he's not a more serious fighter. He's more like humorous. He's more like, he's not, a glory seeking. He's seen as like a glory seeking, like comedy-esque character, but he is a good fighter and he can back himself up. And we have characters like that in the DC universe. There's freaking Plastic Man. There's, now we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the game. There's like the Flash and everything. Characters that can be comedic, but they can be serious when they want to be. And that is Booster Gold. He's not just a comedy character. He can be serious, and he has a good fighting style with, his power suit. Basically, he can do energy blasts, and he could fly, and it enhances his strength, and he's pretty decent in hand-to-hand combat, besides like some long-range attacks with energy blasts. And he is iconic enough. He's been around for a while. He's as iconic as the Blue Beetle, and Blue Beetle is in Injustice 2. I love the Blue Beetle. I don't love Booster Gold as much as someone like a Blue Beetle, and I understand Blue Beetle is more iconic of a character probably than Booster Gold, but Booster Gold is iconic enough to the DC universe to be at least considered for a fighting game. Of all the DC characters coming to kick the crap out of each other, and even though I know his moveset probably wouldn't be that different than other characters that do energy blasts, or other characters that fly, or other characters that have power suits or whatever, his personality at least is there. His ultimate attack would be different than them. His iconic status at least warrants it, and his moveset wouldn't be entirely the same as a hand-to-hand super blaster fighter character like a Superman or something, or like his power suit like a Blue Beetle or anything. Booster Gold is a character I feel that deserves to be in. He's not the character I feel deserves the most, and he's definitely not a character I see requested a whole heck of a lot. But I do think he deserves it, and I do see a bit of fan base that wants him in, and I still don't get why he hasn't been put in either. Not as much as Constantine. Constantine's deserved it for a long friggin' time. But Booster Gold, he deserves to be in there too. My next character goes... Now, this is going to be a character that's probably one of the most heavily requested. My third choice on this will be one of the most heavily requested characters for this game. I seen him requested in Injustice 1. I seen him requested in Injustice 2. Not just a DLC, but on the disc. And that goes to Rorschach from the Watchmen. He would have been so interesting in that story with, Brainiac and, the Joker and Harley Quinn and, Cheetah and everything for Injustice 2. He would have been interesting for a story. His arcade mode story would be probably pretty freaking interesting. The Watchmen are freaking popular, and I'm surprised that there hasn't been a Watchmen-esque character in Injustice. People might say maybe Dr. Manhattan might be a better choice, but a lot more people I do think request Rorschach because he's a member of the Watchmen I think that stands out the most and is the most interesting. His moveset's not all that unique. He basically is just super strength kind of thing. He has good human physical combat abilities. He kind of has some speed and agility, and he's acrobatic. Basically, think of him as a more acrobatic version of Q from Street Fighter Third Strike. Although, definitely, he's probably more iconic than Q. But, it's basically, he's not that unique. At least Constantine has this demon summoning and the curses and whatnot. And Booster Gold, at least, is maybe iconic, at least in his suit, isn't all that different. Rorschach is more so going off the ability that the Watchmen are freaking popular. He's original from the Watchmen. His design, his personality, and his popularity, and all that from the Watchmen universe. That's mostly what he's focused on, why I want to put him in, why I think he should be in. Not so much his moveset ability. His moveset ability would probably be kind of unique and different. With his mask and him being able to combat you. He's super strong and acrobatic and fighting and whatnot, which is basically a lot of characters from DC there in Injustice or Injustice 2. But it's I think his personality will back it up. How he fights using that type of abilities, I think would be interesting. And it's I want to see him in too. He's not one of my most heavily requested characters because I'm not super into Watchmen, as a lot of the other DC fans, comic book fans, gamers are that are playing Injustice 2. But I want him in for those fans that want to play as him and want to see him in this game and in this universe because it's Why can't he be in? Is my question. Why can't we have Rorschach in Injustice 2? And I think he'd be an interesting character to add like in the next DLC pack and whatnot. That's 3 choices. My next choice for my 4th one is going to be a character that was in Injustice 1, but was not in Injustice 2, and I think her exclusion is really weird, and I know the reason for it, because it pertains to the story, apparently, that happened in between Injustice 1 and Injustice 2. But I think a lot of these characters that are added as DLC, I don't think are included in the story in general, and you could just put them in as a fighting game character that fans want to play as. And that goes to Raven, you know, from the Teen Titans, from all that stuff. She was in the original Injustice. She was a cool character to play as in that. She had interesting moveset of her, like, you know, her dark magic type stuff, her chaos magic, and her mystical energy and telepathy and flight and everything. Basically, you know, if you know who Raven is, if you watched the Teen Titans cartoon back from like 2003, if you read any of the comics, if you played Injustice 1, you know exactly how Raven fights. And I find her exclusion weird, because I know in the story apparently she's killed. It's just like the reason why Nightwing is not in, you know, in Injustice 2, and the reason why supposedly like Beast Boy wouldn't be in Injustice 2, because they all kind of died in between Injustice 1 and Injustice 2 in the comics and whatnot. But I don't think that should exclude her from at least being in the game as, like, you know, a character just to play as, just on the roster. There's a lot of fighting games that keep characters around just for the multiplayer aspect, just for the fighting game aspect, not for the story mode. They might have died in the story mode a game 2 or 3 before, but they keep them around. Tekken does this all the time. There's a lot of characters on Tekken 7's roster that somewhere along the line from Tekken 1 through 6 died, but they're still included in the game as like, oh, I can play arcade mode, oh, I can play online. I think just for her iconic status in DC alone, Teen Titans or otherwise, the fact she was included in the first game, the fact that she's pretty freaking popular, I think the return of Raven is heavily requested. Never so often, you know, Ed Boon, please bring her back. She's just a fun character to play as. And you have Cyborg still in there. You brought in Starfire, and technically you have, like, you know, Firestorm and Blue Beetle and whatnot. We lost Nightwing, although there's still technically Robin, and the Damian Wayne Robin is still technically part of the, you know, Teen Titans and whatnot. You're missing Raven and some other characters, but Raven's the most important one, I think, too, now, and she's my only character on my list that's a returning character. The other ones were all, you know, new. And the next one, that's 4 of them. My 5th and final one on this list will go to a guest character. We've already had Hellboy, we've already had Raiden and Sub-Zero, and now we're having the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is another character I believe should be in. Slight controversy for this character is that he is not an originated character from a comic book. And I think that might hurt his chances a bit, but he has been featured in the comic book. His franchise has been featured in comic books, especially as a crossover with the Justice League. And there's been various comic books over the years, and it's just a very popular superhero-based cartoon, superhero-based live-action, superhero-based, you know, universe that's had multiple video games, multiple TV shows, and inspired by a show from Japan. And that goes to the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver. I know that the Power Rangers are not originating from comic books, and that probably would exclude him, and that people might be like, why would we put a Power Ranger in there if they're not from a comic book? But the Power Rangers have had crossovers with the Justice League. They've had crossovers with the DC Comics, and they've had their own comics over the years. It's a popular show based off the Super Sentai, you know, show from Japan, who's become its own conglomerate. It's basically become popular itself. Like, you can look at Super Sentai and you can look at Power Rangers. Power Rangers has found its own niche. Power Rangers has become popular for itself, not just because it takes stuff from, you know, Super Sentai. And it's been pretty popular. So, like, they're superheroes. They're superheroes that wear super suits and kick villains out and beat the crap out of villains and just save the world. That's the same thing as Superman. That's the same thing as Batman and whatnot. So why can't we have a freaking Power Ranger if we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Hellboy, and the Power Rangers have crossed over with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before? Why can't we have a Power Ranger? In my opinion, and I know he's overrated and he's probably not the choice everyone wants, but he's pretty much the definitive choice. Tommy Oliver's Green Ranger. And I went for the Green Ranger because that's probably, I think, his most iconic Ranger suit. But, you know, you have gear in freaking, you know, Injustice 2. You can change gear up, so you can make him the White Ranger, the Zeo Red Ranger, the Turbo Red Ranger, his Black Ranger from, you know, Dino Force and whatnot. So basically you can get gear for his other Power Rangers, forms, but I think the moveset should be based around his Green Ranger form, summoning the flute, summoning his giant dinosaur dragon thing, and kicking the crap in the ultimate attack. You can give the White Ranger, Red Ranger forms, Black Ranger, all his different Ranger forms as costumes. Maybe even other Rangers, some Pink Rangers, Yellow Rangers, White Ranger, Green Ranger, Black Ranger, Orange Ranger, whatever the heck, other Rangers from different universes. Maybe you can give them some, Lost Galaxy suits or, Ninja Storm suits or whatnot, just to represent the series. But you need to represent, I think, his suits as legit costumes for the Green Ranger. And I think the Green Ranger should be his main costume because of how iconic it was when he first came into the series. And base his moveset around that. But give him his other suits as, gear he can get, and then give some other, gear, like, okay, maybe you can find, like, a Rocky suit or Jason suit or something, like, where you can base it around, like, him cosplaying as the other Ranger from across the universe of different series since it's been inception until now. I think it'd be pretty cool. Power Rangers is popular enough and big enough now to, I think, be included in this, and they're superheroes anyways, and it's, I think, one of the biggest crossovers they could still do, besides, like, Spawn. And that goes to the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver from the Power Rangers. And that is my 5th and final character on this list. And the list is Raven, the Green Ranger, Rorschach, Booster Goat, and Constantine. That is my list. I put in the comment section what you guys think. Do you guys like these choices? Do you guys want to see these choices? And what characters do you particularly want to see in future DLC packs for Injustice 2? See you all later. My name is Simon. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. And see you in more videos coming soon. And I will not take too long to do it. Sorry I've been gone for so long. See ya!